Okay, so now that we have done our very first video lesson on photo restoration, we're going to continue on with a second and a third. These next two are very short. We're going to be talking about cloning. So, cloning involves painting over a portion of your photograph or image so that you cover up unwanted areas. So, this was step 4 out of those 8 steps. Today, we're going to talk about two of the cloning tools, the Clone Stamp tool and the Spot Healing Brush tool. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to File, Open, this PC, Courses, Art, Computer Graphic Lessons, Photoshop Lessons. There is a folder called Photo Restoration, and we're going to open up the 03A end, hold down Control, and 03A Start. Pull these down side by side. So, as you can see here, we're not going to put the text on it. We're going to skip that. But if you look closely, you're going to see we are going to fill in this area here, this missing part of the photo that got ripped off. And if you can look in the background right in here, there's a sprinkler head, and then there's another sprinkler head over in this area here that we are going to be taking care of. Okay, so you can see that they're gone there. This is a nice quick one. Once we're done here, you might want to open up a photo and just have some fun playing around. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we're going to save a copy of this in our lessons folder. So File, Save As, this PC, navigating to your folder, your computer graphics folder, and then if you happen to have saved or created a lessons folder, you can put it in there, but somewhere in here you need to save this. Okay. We're going to start first with the most basic tool, which is your clone stamp tool. Over here on the left-hand side, shortcut is S on the keyboard. You'll see that there's a drawer here. There's something called the pattern stamp tool. Just make sure that you don't have that one. If you have time someday and you want to play around and experiment with that one, you can, but we're going to stick with the basic clone stamp. So here's why the clone stamp tool is going to be great for this area. Whenever you have something that you have to completely cover up and it's a bigger area and it doesn't match any area around it, so the gray here clearly does not match around here. We have to completely cover over it. You're going to want to use the clone stamp tool. It works like a brush. If you can see, hopefully I've got some margins here of how big that brush is. If I want to make it bigger or smaller, I can. You want to use the biggest brush you can, but not so big that you have a hard time what's called sampling. So in order to cover this up, what we have to do is we have to paint over this with another part of the image. But we have to tell the computer, well, what part am I painting over with? So you need to find an area that's similar to the area that you want it to look like, and you need to sample. So the way you do that is you hover. I'm just letting my cursor hover, hold down the Alt key, and you should get this little crosshairs, and then just click. Nothing has happened so far. I'm going to move this over, and here you can see now that's what it's going to paint with. So I'm going to start in the top, and I'm just going to start painting. And you should notice that it's moving where it samples from, because you'll see here, see how it's starting to paint with the pagoda? Ah, so you have to resample frequently. So watch as I do this again. I'm going to sample up here. I'm going to paint a little bit. And then as I can see, there should be a little crosshairs up where it's sampled from. It's kind of hard to see. It's when it starts getting too close to that pagoda, I'm going to release. I'm going to come back up in here. I'm going to sample again further away. So you want to keep resampling. So go ahead and stop the video, find your clone step tool, and try that now. Okay, now that you've cloned over this area here, we need to make sure we save it. And we're going to fix these two areas back here. Let's grab our zoom tool and we're going to zoom in on the top left sprinkler head. Now we could use the clone stamp tool to do it. However, I'm going to show you a much quicker, easier tool. It's in the drawer right above the clone stamp tool. So it's the first one in the drawer called Spot Healing Brush. Spot Healing Brush is great for when you have a little blemish that's surrounded by a nice consistent area. So this little sprinkler head clearly doesn't match here. but it's a slight imperfection. It's just a small area. Unlike that big corner, this is just a small little blemish. This tool, the spot healing brush tool, works great for like acne or little dust speckles on photographs, stuff that's just little. And again, you want to make it so that your brush is slightly bigger than the imperfection. So I'm getting it. So that's pretty good. You do not have to sample. All you have to do is I'm going to click and hold. It's going to look like it's painting black. And I'm going to hold it here for a second. When I release, it's going to match it to the area around. So I'm going to release, and you can see it matched it. So go ahead and try that. Okay, we're going to come in over to the other side, find the other sprinkler head, and do the same thing again. And it's just that simple. File, save, and you are done. Again, we learned today about the clone stamp tool and the spot healing brush tool, both ways to fulfill that step 4 unwanted objects in your photograph. Good job today.